Hello and welcome to another episode of Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbit, and I am pleased to be joined today by a man who was born without a belly button, and his name is Mike Roth.
You say you're pleased.
Yes. It pleases me to know that you have no belly button.
Well, I don't. It happens that I'm a test tube baby, and I was never given to someone else. I was raised.
I always thought that's how it worked.
Full in the test tube.
When I was a kid and I heard test tube baby, I always assumed that's how it was. Like just a big beaker with a baby growing in it. That's what I saw.
And that's where the Muppet character Beaker came from.
It all
I
comes
look
you
exactly
are
like
Beaker. That was next week's trivia, but here we go. Mike is also Beaker. There we are. This week we have a couple of movies to discuss on the marquee. The first of which is a heist movie that we saw.
Yes.
But before we get into what is on the marquee, we have another affiliate we would like to welcome in. We would like to welcome Independence Television out of Clarkston, Michigan. Welcome to Real Reviews. Thank you for taking us in. Thank you for showing us as you do. And as always, when we welcome in an affiliate, Mike has some trivia that he has learned about.
I did. It's Clarkston sounds very interesting. It seems like it's a town within a town. Clarkston is in the middle of Independence Township.
Okay.
Only has about 900 people in there, but I guess it's just loaded with like old streets and stuff like that from what I was reading. And it is designated a National Historical Site, this little town. It supposedly has great schools, great eating, stuff like that. You got some famous people that are from the area, not necessarily this town, but in the area. Did not know Kid Rock was, I guess was born in this area.
We still love you no matter what.
Valerie Bettinelli.
Valerie Bertinelli?
Yes.
Yes.
Married to Van Halen. She was not born here, nor does she live here, but a little stint when she
stopped by.
She
slept in a hotel here.
No, when she was a kid,
Right.
her family lived in the area. Have you ever heard of Henry Ford?
Yes. He was an actor, right?
No.
Did he invent anything?
Kind of not really.
Okay.
But very
Moving
famous
on.
for the Ford company.
Oh, yes.
He had a little summer home there. It still, I guess, is up kept. And also Joffrey Johns.
All right.
He is a comic book writer and executive for DC.
Yes.
Well known for Flash.
All in the area, huh?
All in the area.
I kind of want to check
interesting
out.
place.
This sounds interesting. Little town, little historic town, Clarkston, Michigan. We might have to make a little venture out there.
I'd love to see a little town inside a bigger town.
All of them fans of Real Reviews. That's a given.
Yeah,
And so, once again, we want to welcome you.
Didn't need to be said.
Obviously, right. We'd like to welcome all of you guys to Real Reviews and what we do here at KSUN. Moving on to our movies that are on the marquee this week, we have, like I said, a heist movie starring Will Smith and Margot Robbie, and that is Focus. Focus is a movie directed by two gentlemen. Let's see, Glenn Ficarra and John Requa. I had to write those names down.
You did very good at pronouncing that.
Yeah, right. Well, and these are two gentlemen who have worked together kind of in tandem through various movies. I Love You, Philip Morris being one of their better ones. And this movie is really, Will Smith is an old con man at this point. He's a master con, been in the game for a while. And he discovers Margot Robbie, and she is wanting to get into the con game. And he kind of takes her under his wing, introduces her to the fine points of being a con man, and working with his team. We see that he and his team are responsible for a large amount of credit card, identity theft, anything that you can do. You see him right there. I mean, that's the operation. They're just taking everything they can.
They're skilled.
Yeah, and there's an incident that happens halfway through. There's a heist that goes down, and we are fast forwarded 3 years into the future. Will Smith is working on a new scam, trying to work these guys in a Grand Prix Formula One circuit, and Margot Robbie suddenly appears from his past, shows up, kind of throws everything off. And like any heist movie, like any con man movie, you get a lot of who's playing who, who's running games on who. There's a lot of nice little interplay where he kind of explains how certain scams would be run. You know, like, ooh, how'd they do it? Kind of take you behind, show you how the trick was, the magic was done. And Gerald McRaney, Major Dad, the Simon from Simon and Simon, is one of the guys that he is working against through a good chunk of this movie.
You know, I totally missed that.
Really?
I didn't recognize him. No.
I recognize him from the voice. It's been a long time since I saw Gerald McRaney's face.
Yeah.
But as soon as he started talking, I go, oh, that's Major Dad. That's the other guy from Simon and Simon. He was a major foil for Will Smith's character in this movie.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it is kind of a paint by numbers con man type movie.
So for some of the numbers didn't really match up. It's in this movie you see two major heists, and at the end of both major heists, I'm like, really? That wouldn't work.
Well, and my thing is, first off, so the movie, really early on when he meets Margot Robbie's character, he explains to her how he and his crew run their game and all of the things that they're responsible for. And I'm going, okay, so these are the bad guys then. These guys are stealing your identity, emptying your bank accounts, playing the regular guy for suckers. And like, so now at some point you're gonna want me to root for this guy. Not happening. I don't care, it's Will Smith, charismatic, whatever. I'm not rooting for this guy. This is no. They're all bad in this movie.
Yeah.
To varying degrees. And I thought that because there are so many double turn after double turn type of things, that a lot of them kind of lessened the impact because something would happen, and I just go, well, obviously that's not real.
Yeah.
It's going to turn the other way, and yep, and then it turns out, and there's a foreshadowing very early in the movie that kind of spells out how the climax of the movie.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I picked up on the foreshadowing and knew how this movie was going to end, and that kind of sucked. But I don't know.
Well,
what did you think? What did you think of Focus?
Well, tell you what, I did enjoy the movie. I wasn't bored. I did find myself kind of disappointed with a lot of things. For one thing, Will Smith is getting up there in age. I know this sounds really weird, but it should be minor, but I kind of really bugs me when I see these extremely old men.
No, I wouldn't call him. I would not call Will Smith extremely old.
No, he's not.
He's not that much older than us.
But technically, this his girlfriend could be his daughter. Not,
well, no doubt.
Not by
right.
a little bit, but a lot.
Sure.
Very logically. Same thing bugged me in Heat with two older gentlemen that had extremely young.
That's just Hollywood, though. You can just
It
call
is
that
Hollywood,
Hollywood.
but we should throw that out.
Okay.
It should be.
Mike, not for the December-May romance.
I'm for it, but it seems like too many movies are like this.
To be fair, now Will Smith was not the target actor for this movie originally.
And
this
that's
movie
true. They did go
hands.
through what, 4 actors
At least. So,
and same thing with actresses, though. I mean, they went
this movie
through.
had gone through many incarnations of almost being made with someone else.
They also went through a good 4 actresses to play the leading lady, and you know what? They could have found a leading lady that's while they're trying to find all this in Closer in Age. There's a lot of talented
But I think that they were very
actresses out
happy to get Margot Robbie because she is a star on the rise after Wolf of Wall Street and now being Harley Quinn in the new Suicide Squad movie. She and Will Smith working together in that movie as well. I think they found a real star on the rise and a reason to get people into the theater, where Will Smith's star has not been on the rise with his recent movies.
No.
And I don't think anyone was going to see a new Will Smith movie. He's not the king of the summer anymore.
No, but he's actually the king of this movie. He's the one that met Margaret Robbie. She was not good in this, I don't think. Matter of fact, no one was really that good.
No.
Except for Will Smith and Adrian Martinez, who played Farhead.
Yes, he was funny.
I think both of those characters were pretty good, but overall, it was a Will Smith movie being fueled by Will Smith.
So what did you end up giving Focus?
I gave it 3. I think it was a little bit above par, but nothing I would run out to a theater for. You know.
I gave it 3 stars as well. I thought it was interesting watching it that there were several scenes that I watched Will Smith really, it seemed methodically trying to channel Denzel Washington. There were some faces that he was making. There were some moments in there, especially in the serious moments, where I'm like, he is really trying to get his Denzel on right now. And that's interesting because he could step into the roles that Denzel has seemingly outgrown now. I could see Will Smith kind of filling that role. He is a good 20 years younger than Denzel, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Kind of step into those roles that Denzel is an aged man.
You recently had Denzel where he plays an older, retired, nearly geriatric action hero, which we don't get enough of.
Right. Talk about that.
And now Will Smith could walk into the parts.
I agree. So it was entertaining. It was fine. I gave it 3 stars, but you know, it was fine.
You're not going to leave the movie thinking, oh my gosh, this is really life-changing. You'll be entertained.
The thing is, I enjoy heist movies. I enjoy con man movies, and I've seen 100 better than this, I think. It just seems like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to screw them up because they should be fun.
Well, have you seen Ocean's 12 or 13?
13 is terrible. All right, go ahead, sir. You have a movie.
I do. I saw the horror movie. It's kind of a horror movie desert lately. And Lazarus Effect came out. It's basically directed by David Gelb.
David Gelb, yep.
And he did Hero Dreams of Sushi, which I believe...
Hero Dreams of Sushi, one of the better documentaries of the last couple of years.
Yeah, just not too long ago. Well, he dips his hand into the horror movie with Lazarus Effect. It's about a group of researchers that kind of lied to their university about what they're researching. It's not about prolonging life. It's about bringing people back from the dead. And the university's going nuts over this. They're like, you can't play God. This is not what we gave you money for. We're shutting you down. So, you know, they're not going to accept this. They made headway. So they got one last experiment to do, and things go wrong.
Things go awry.
You see there that they're trying to resurrect dogs, but as you can see from the trailer, Zoe, who is the lead female in this, she dies. They bring her back, and you know, a little bit of hell comes back.
She brings something with her.
And like in all horror movies, when a little hell comes in, people die. One by one, the actors get knocked off. I'm not going to tell you the end, but basically it's a horror movie that you know how it's going to end.
Right.
It is entertaining. They do throw a lot to the geek culture. You see someone playing Catan for a while. You have Evan Peters, who you might recognize from American Horror Story, and he played Quicksilver in X-Men.
Yep.
He smokes an e-cigarette, another throw to the geek culture. They make a Star Wars reference. It is interesting. This movie has been done better with other movies. I think it's more like Event Horizon than it is, what was the other movie?
I don't know.
Continue. Well, anyhow, but it's still entertaining. It's a horror movie. They could have gone with a little bit more gore for what it was, but I think they wanted to hit that PG-13 rating. There's really no surprises, but it is an interesting film.
Yeah, I enjoy the cast of this movie. Mark Duplass is a favorite of mine, and he was the main lead as the main researcher. I really enjoy him in most of the things that he does. I love Olivia Wilde. She was Zoe. Donald Glover from Community was a good time as one of the researchers. And Evan Peters, I thought, was the best of the lot. I thought he had the most actual emotion and the most to do to kind of progress things along, surprisingly. And unfortunately, I was really disappointed in what they gave Mark Duplass to do. I thought his character was so one note and just kind of, I've seen this character played before by Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
And Donald Glover was fine. He was kind of the comedic use. But I thought that it was an interesting setup, as you know, you've heard a lot. I mean, some of this stuff was lifted straight out of Flatliners. Like, maybe when you die, there's a chemical that's released in your brain that helps you through. And she's like, I think you're reaching for it. Like, oh, that was lifted out of a different movie. But, you know, as they do bring the dog back from life, and they do bring Zoe back from life, from death, I mean, I thought it was interesting. And some of the effects of the narrative of what morality do we have here with this. Once it started turning the corner into the horror movie, I thought my main disappointment was with the effects. I thought were pretty subpar. They were really subpar.
I agree.
As you start going into what she's brought back, what's a dream, what's not, especially in the final chapter of the movie, the effects were really bad.
And with horror movies, if you don't have a good psychological clincher, really pretty much your game is the special effects. And really, like I said, there isn't a lot of gore, and you don't need gore in a horror movie, but in a movie like this where there really isn't any intellectual scares at all, you kind of need that splash. And there really is no splash at all.
No, there isn't. And so, I mean, I enjoyed the performances for the most part, better than the actual movie itself.
Yeah.
I thought Olivia Wilde was really good as Zoe. I liked her as Zoe.
Yeah.
And like I said, I really enjoyed Evan Peters. And so the movie itself was a bit of a disappointment to me. I was hoping for a little more.
The beginning definitely
It set
is
up
a lot better.
It set up a better movie than we
Yeah.
ended up getting. It got progressively worse as it went along.
It did.
And that was a bit disappointing. But I don't think it was bad. I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. Middle of the road. No, in no way a bad movie, but I don't think in any way a special or a good movie.
I gave it 3, just because really I found it entertaining and it was interesting. I think they should have done a lot more with the concept.
Yeah.
And also with a lack of any horror movie, plus an add-on good movie. The last good horror movie was Fall.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I mean, especially when you go out and you get a cast of known actors for a horror movie, which we don't see a lot.
Yeah.
It's mostly people you've never heard of, high school age kids to just be fodder in this horror movie. And so when you go out and you get names that people know, like, hey, that's Quicksilver, that's the guy from Community and such, to kind of underuse what you have was a disappointment.
yeah, I really didn't think they used Donald Glover too much for his humor. They really should.
Well, I mean, he had a little bit, but he was very much
much
pushed aside, and that was kind of disappointing to me.
And I personally think he's going to be one of those rising stars.
Yeah,
I
without
think
question.
Now that he's not doing Community anymore. And,
Another season of Community's coming out right now.
oh my gosh, how many times are they going to cancel this thing?
It's back.
I love the show. I really
so
do.
good.
But
One of the best written shows ever.
they usually talk about it canceling while the episodes are still airing.
It's always just at the brink of death. But back again.
I love fans that do this
sir.
kind of- we demand more. Just like the people who love our show.
Right. They always demand more from us. So with that review of The Lazarus Effect, we went to our throwback movie for this week. Kind of the natural fit when you talk about dying and coming back. We went to 1990s Flatliners, starring another A-list cast at the time. Kiefer Sutherland, Julia Roberts, William Baldwin, Kevin Bacon, Oliver Platt.
Huge cast.
At the time, this was a monstrous cast because this was a lot of the Brat Pack and peripheral Brat Pack kind of launching themselves out of that stage of their careers into the we're going to be real actors type of stuff. And this was a big deal, and it's the movie where this group of young doctors and researchers and such decide to test what is out there after death.
Yeah.
And Kiefer Sutherland is the lead in this. It's his idea, it's his theory, how we're going to kill ourselves, how long we can stay dead, what do we discover on the other side, bring ourselves back. And then it becomes a little bit of a contest as, again, they argue over the morals of death, and then it becomes a bit of an ego game of, I'm going to go longer. I'm going to die for 5 minutes.
Yep.
I'm going to die for 5:20. And
well, one person didn't want to die as long as they were dead.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Don't always come back right when you want.
No.
But I thought it was pretty interesting. This is a movie that you and I had both seen, originally. And
When I was a kid in the 90s, I've watched this on VHS over and over and over again. I could probably almost quote the whole movie from beginning to end, but I kind of stopped. I haven't seen it since the 90s, since I was a teenager.
It's been
this is the
probably
first time.
almost 20 years since I saw it.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. Not to tell anybody our age.
Right. But I think the movie, for me, with this movie, I think the movie is better than the performances are. I think Kiefer plays the same role that Kiefer does a lot. He played the same role he did in The Lost Boys, basically.
Yeah.
In a lot of films. And I think this was why Kiefer's star kind of dropped. Not long after this. The 90s were not kind to him.
No.
And Julia Roberts I thought was great. And Kevin Bacon was Kevin Bacon. William Baldwin was William Baldwin. Take that as you will. And I thought Oliver Platt was actually really good in this. And Oliver Platt, this was one of the first films that I had seen Oliver Platt in, which is surprising because he is the oldest of the group, I think. But this was kind of the one where he kind of latched on to Kiefer with the Three Musketeers and such after this. But, but I think the movie itself and the questions it raised, I think, was better than the actual performances they got out of the actors.
I actually was, when I rewatched it, I was really disappointed. This is such a huge stylized product of the late 80s, early 90s. It really doesn't make sense. You watch it and you're like, why are they all having med school in this abandoned
warehouse
a museum? I mean,
it is like a mausoleum in there.
This is a beautiful a piece of architecture, and they're like running around doing nothing. There's protesting or something outside. This is like some future where there's a lot of neon and everything's dirty and wet.
Well, okay, who directed the movie now? Joel Schumacher.
Yeah.
What would Joel Schumacher bring to the Batman franchise a few years down the road? A dark, gritty city that is full of neon lights and everyone's wearing glow sticks. He seems to enjoy that dark and gritty with the neon lights.
I wish they would explain it so that this movie would have some credibility 10 or 20 years later. Because when I watch it now, it's like watching anything that was just popular for its flash and not for its story. It was hard for me to get into the story because of it, you know.
See, I enjoyed it. I don't think to me, it didn't hold up quite as well as I remembered it. But I still enjoyed the movie. It wasn't hard to sit and watch it. It's hard because some of these throwbacks, it's hard to separate watching it through the prism of the eyes that you saw it in years ago, and sometimes it's difficult to separate that. In this movie, I actually did have a kind of a hard time because this wasn't a wheelhouse where I was really discovering my love for film. 1990, this was like where I was breaking, I love movies, and so this was a movie that I really enjoyed back then too, and it's hard sometimes to take the nostalgia out of your thoughts on a movie.
It kind of reminded me of the time just a few years ago I bought all the Thundercats, the animated series.
Talk about that.
Love it. But when you rewatch it, you realize it's not as good as you remembered.
I had the same issue with He-Man.
Like,
I loved He-Man. He-Man's terrible.
Yeah, this plot's going nowhere.
You always have to revisit your childhood. It doesn't always hold up. And this one, I don't think that it was bad. I don't think it was hokey or like some of the things that you revisit. I thought it was still good, and especially watching the Lazarus Effect, you see a lot of what they ripped off. It reminded of it, like, oh yeah, I see.
I think they borrowed a lot from Flatliners and Event Horizon. They wanted to make one movie and make it PG-13.
Right.
Yeah.
The whole first half of it was just taking this. And, we'll make this into something. But it's looks good. We watched a Blu-ray copy of it.
Yeah.
Decent. I didn't watch any of the special features. I don't think
There
there was
was
anything
none.
special. No?
No.
How about that?
Yeah, I went to the
That's
menu
disappointing.
screen. Usually you could have at least bios or something on it. Still nothing. Play movie. Only option.
Boo.
Yeah, exactly.
Thumbs down to that. Don't get the Blu-ray.
But the neon looks so
Yeah.
good.
I'm telling you, man, Joel Schumacher was just in love with, like, every city's dark. It's night and rainy in every city, and there's always a rave going on around the corner.
Exactly, and you're right. There was a rave going on around the corner.
Every city. That's Joel Schumacher's vision of every city.
Why is everything so leaky?
Pipes
there's
always
no
dripping.
roofers anymore in the future here?
That's funny. That is funny. So that is our movie throwback for this week. Having looked backwards, we're going to take a look forward to the week of March 13th. And we have a couple of movies that will be coming out that weekend. The first of which is the new movie in the live-action Disney pantheon that they have launched. And that is Cinderella, the new Cinderella movie. We don't get enough Cinderella movies.
Second one this year.
It seems like the Cinderella story itself is told every 6 months.
Oh, wait a minute.
All the time.
According to the Academy, Into the Woods. That's a Cinderella.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, three.
Always.
Three so far. Third month, 3 Cinderella movies.
Yes, so we have the new Cinderella movie, which is telling the story of Ella and how she gets the man, as we discussed.
Yeah, a terrible
Use magic and looks
Yeah.
to get a man, trick him.
Yeah.
Because yourself, that's not good enough.
No.
Being yourself is
Someday,
never good
someone in Hollywood is going to be like, this is message we got to stop giving teenage girls.
Stop pounding
really,
this into the head of little girls. The message they need is let it go. That's what I say.
And be comfortable with yourself. once you have confidence in yourself, then you'll be able to do anything. That's a message, not you will never find love if you're not pretty.
You're not good enough. The next movie we have, speaking of movies that come out every 6 months, is Run All Night, the newest movie. Now get this premise. So Liam Neeson plays a grizzled guy who is trying to save his son.
Taken 4?
And and he will do whatever it takes, and he has remarkable skills of taking down multitudes of bad guys, and he will use those skills to save his family.
Taken 4.
No, it's called Run All Night, sir. I'm sorry. I know. And it is just another one because it's been a while since we saw like a Walk in the Tombstones or Taken whatever. And
yeah. Well, you know, another thing that's starting to be cliche is the geriatric action hero.
None more so than Liam Neeson, man. It's getting heartbreaking to watch, but
yeah.
that is the new one.
He's making hand over fist cash.
Stop going to see him. But anyways, it's him and Ed Harris, and we will be discussing that in a couple of weeks. This upcoming week, we will be discussing Chappie. We will also be discussing Unfinished Business, the Vince Vaughn, Dave Franco, Tom Wilkinson movie. And as a special treat, we just might have a review of the second best exotic Marigold Hotel by popular demand.
Which means I'm going to have to watch the first one.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise you'll be lost, really.
Really?
I'm convinced.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you'll have no idea what's going on at this hotel otherwise. And so...
All I know is it's the best.
Right. But before we go, we would like to thank our sponsor, Marcus Theaters, for bringing us in. If you are here local to Sun Prairie, the announcement was made that our new Marcus Theaters, Palace Cinemas as it will be opening April 30th. That is the same day Avengers 2 opens, so be ready for that. That is going to be a good time, and we might have a little surprise for you before then.
I know no one outside of Sun Prairie cares about this, but also the Cabela's is opening at the same time.
Right, it's going to be
the parking's going to be
so just
terrible.
Think about that, Independence, Michigan. Like we say, the new Marcus Theater is coming, but we look forward to checking that out. Also, we always encourage you to go and find us on all our platforms that you can find us on. Find us on Facebook, Real Reviews TV. Find us on Twitter, at Real Reviews TV. We are always tweeting things out and sending messages out on Facebook. We've got a nice group of new fans through both mediums recently, and that's been very, very nice to see. It's refreshing to see.
If you're a Rebel, we also have a G+.
Never heard
all
of it.
you Rebels out there that want to go there.
Right.
And we also have a YouTube channel. If you, for some reason, cannot watch our show on KSUN, which is a better format, there is YouTube. That way you could use your Ricohs or Fire Sticks or Chromecast or whatever.
Perfect. If you want to see any of our previous episodes, we are coming up on our 1-year anniversary. If you go back far enough, you can find us sitting in front of a much less impressive set than this, but all of those episodes are available online streaming at ksun.tv. Go on there, check out everything that you need to find about Real Reviews. I think
or even friend us. We're nice people.
I'm a nice guy. Why not? But until next week when we talk about robots and old people and businessmen and all kinds of good stuff. Yep. My name is Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.